Okay, so everybody, welcome to the Entrinsik webinar, and I'm going to turn it over to Tim Nicholson from Entrinsik for the presentation. And Tim, just give me 1 second here to get you set up as a presenter.
Okay.
Okay, you should be good to go, Tim.
Excellent. All right, so I'll go ahead and get that started now. All right, you should be seeing my screen.
Yes, we do.
Okay, all right, excellent. All right, well, welcome everyone. As Gary said, my name is Tim Nicholson. I'm the Director of Informer Customer Services here at Entrinsik. And we thank you for joining us on our webinar today to talk about Informer and how it can help you out. First of all, a little bit about who the company, who we are at Entrinsik. Entrinsik was started back in 1984, so we've been around a while, a well-established company. We currently have over 1,500 customers worldwide. We have about 35 partners also that resell or OEM our product inside of theirs. And suffice to say, our customers love us. They constantly rate us very highly in user reviews for product ease of use, as well as our services and our support. And we've also been named 3 years in a row as one of the Database Trends and Applications 100 companies that matter most in the data, or in data. And so we've been around a while, and we have seen and heard a lot of the challenges when it comes to working with data. And manufacturing is no different. I come from a manufacturing background from carpet. Grew up in the carpet capital of the world in Dalton, Georgia, so I can certainly speak to a lot of the challenges that are involved in manufacturing and working with manufacturing data. Supply chains have so many different, or involve so many different businesses. And that usually involves large volumes of disparate data from all these different sources, suppliers, distributors, vendors, and customers, and so forth. So there's just a lot of data that you have to deal with. And ideally, you need to have the right tools in to sit there and monitor your bottom line. That's the key thing. You want to keep an eye on that profit and loss and make sure that you're keeping that bottom line where it needs to be. And the product sales analysis, raw material supplier outlays, cost effectiveness of different distributors, all those things are key factors that you need to keep an eye on in running your day-to-day business. And with so much of that data floating around and with so many different data sources, a lot of times it's hard to know what's important and what's really valuable. And then, of course, another challenge is just the fact that legacy systems were not really built with integration in mind. I know a lot of the applications that I worked with in manufacturing had no concept of integration. They were built way back in the day, even before databases were really ever thought of. But even still, a lot of legacy applications are out there that store data in databases, but they didn't have any other integration components in mind with other data. So somehow we need to have a tool that helps us access and even merge all this data together in a single location. And Informer, our product, is that tool. So what is Informer actually? Well, Informer was introduced in 2001. It is a completely web-based reporting and analytical solution, a business intelligence solution. It was designed with an intuitive user interface aimed at end users. It can connect to multiple types of databases, not just one particular database, but any type of multiple types of databases. So you can have a single solution across your entire organization to access all of your different data sources. And it goes right at the data where it lives. It doesn't require a separate reporting database to extract to and then report off of. It goes right at the data wherever it may be. So that means I can see what is going on within my organization in near real time. And that's key a lot of times. You need to have those up-to-the-minute data points so you can make quick and informed decisions. And it includes a robust security model that allows me to define what functionality users have within the product, as well as what data they can see, so I can control access on all different fronts. And due to its simple, straightforward architecture, the implementation is relatively quick and easy. So it gives you a real fast return on your investment. Some solutions can take months or sometimes even years to get implemented. Informer can be implemented in a matter of days or weeks, so it's really quick to implement. And as I mentioned, we are highly rated by our customers for our product quality as well as our excellent customer experience that we provide. And so these are some of the surveys you see here on this slide that we were featured in and rated by our users, and a lot of those, and all of those actually, we were either top rated or a strong leader in all of the categories in those particular reviews. And so on our webinar today, we have on our webinar today Southern Supply Corporation. They are a family of distribution and manufacturing companies out of Springfield, Missouri. They are an Informer customer. And with us from Southern Supply is Jesse Owsley, a project manager for Southern Supply. He previously worked at Elk Supply Company as Manager of Information Services, and he is going to be doing a demonstration of how he is using Informer at Southern Supply. First, just a little bit about their reporting environment before I turn it over to Jesse. They have multiple data sources of multiple sources of data connected to Informer, including 2 of their ERP systems, as well as their e-commerce system and their warehouse management system. So today, Jesse is going to be showing us some examples of Informer reports and dashboards from their test data environment. So with that, Gary, I'll let you turn it over to Jesse.
All right, this is Jesse Owsley. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine, Jesse.
Very good. And I just shared my screen. Are you able to see that?
Yes, we sure are.
Okay, so I must say that I'm relatively new to the Infor sphere. So hello, everyone. My name is Jesse Owsley. I'm a project manager with Southern Supply Company. And most of my career, I've worked for Epicor and with Epicor ERPs. And during that time, I worked a lot with the business intelligence systems that we had over there. Now, being new to Infor, I'm not familiar with the product, so I really can't compare anything. But I've got to say that whenever I look at a reporting system, the first thing we always see is a dashboard. So I'm just going to show you that and get it out of the way, because that was the dashboarding ability was not the primary reason that we looked to Informer as a solution. But I want to just show that I'm presenting a dashboard that's very similar to something that we use in production that shows various metrics, comparative, that is live and showing information from the live data sources in various comparisons. So this, by the way, works really well on mobile as well. But I'm going to move away from the dashboard to talk more about the things that we actually use the product for, the primary purpose that we got involved with Informer. Now, when I came on board with Southern Supply Company, one of the first things that I inherited was the e-commerce platform, and we use Infor Storefront for that purpose. And what I discovered was there are not really any reporting tools to use that with that. So at the last TUG Connects in Washington, D.C., I saw the Informer product, and we got involved with Informer after that TUG Connects show. But I want to show you the first thing that we did, and the first thing I needed to know. And I'm just going to go ahead and show the output of a report. When users come onto my website and set up a B2C account, I didn't have any visibility into that or any automatic reporting for that event. The first thing that I wanted to do with Informer was let me know what's going on with the website. If people sign in, if they create accounts, I want to know about that. And what we're looking at right now is a report from the e-commerce platform, Storefront, that shows me all of the customers that have signed up today. Now, as we go through here, one caveat I'll mention is that you will look at some test data, so just be aware of that. But this is all real time, and this is all from Storefront currently. I'm showing 5 customers who logged on. If I were to create another customer, or if another customer came to our website right now and created an account, that would show up as soon as I refresh the screen. That just refreshed from the live database. I'm going to show you that I'm looking at this information on the screen, but the way that I actually have this distributed is on a daily basis, this comes to myself, and then on a weekly basis, a grouping of all of the new customers comes to myself and some marketing people and various groups, and that is automatically distributed as a PDF. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like. This is the output from Informer. This is all real time. And the way this is set up to operate in the production environment is that on a periodic basis, if there are new records that meet the criteria that are set within the query, this information then is automatically delivered to whomever is designated to get that information via email. Now, there are a number of things like this that are pieces of Storefront that I wanted to be able to report on. For example, the e-commerce, the fulfillment piece of that, a lot of times that's you know, not integrated into the warehouse's normal workflows. And so I wanted to have visibility, and so I have something that runs a couple of times a day, and it tells me if there are unfulfilled web orders. And it only tells me that information if there are actually reports that meet the criteria. I'm going to step back from that, and I'll be able to come back to any of these as we wish. Another way that we use the data, as soon as we got the product, and I've got to say that one of the things that really attracted me to the product, and I found really really was the case, was it was a very quick to install and use the information for bread and butter type queries. So, for example, after we had this in place, my boss said, you know what, I've got to purge all this data from the ERP, and I'm really kind of concerned because I don't do this very often. And so what I want to do is I want to purge this in the test environment and be able to quickly and easily report on that. I'm going to show you an example of a report then that was used for that purpose. This is a very, very simple report that just simply shows my oldest transactions. And the purpose of this was just so that as we ran the purge in the test environment, we could just quickly query the test environment and make sure the purge was purging the data that we wanted to get rid of. Now, as we did this, I'll say that, you know, we've got a progress programmer on staff, and you know, he's able to do Q&Ds for whatever, you know, whatever we need to report on progress. But you know, his time's in pretty tight supply, and you know, I came on board without knowing progress. So this is a really good tool for me to do very simple queries without having to grab other resources to do. You'll notice that I'm showing a very simple query that shows a create date and a sending order, an order number, and a sales rep. While I'm showing you this, I want to just point out, though, quickly, though, that if I have information that's in a grid, I do have the ability to work with that information in the grid dynamically as well, so that although this is a very, very simple query, it's really useful to me, and it was able to verify purge dates. I just really quickly want to show a little bit of that dynamic piece of working with the data in the grid. And so, for example, I'm showing just a create date, an order number, and a sales rep, and I'm just going to pull the sales rep up to group these orders by sales rep. So even on a very simple query, I've got the ability to do some dynamic pulling of data, dynamic manipulation of data in the grid. So, by the way, if I forget any particular point, you can just look at my notes in my report description, and you can call me on that. Now, so far we've looked at a real simple query from the e-commerce platform and a very simple query from the ERP. Well, similarly to those, we use the TWL for a warehouse management system, and there's certain information that I want to be able to pull from TWL as well. I'll go ahead and pull this query up to show information that I'm going to click on the data tab to do a demonstration. I'm going to show a query. One of the challenges with the warehouse management system, once we put that into place, it's really hard to know where stuff is for various purposes without having access to a warehouse management terminal. Now this very simple query here, as I'm going to enter a runtime parameter, I'm going to enter a product number, or the first part of the product number, and this is just very simply giving me a product number, a bin location, and a quantity count in that location. Actually shows some other information and production stuff, but this demonstrates the purpose of being able to query on the TWL database and just see the information I need. And you know, many times I don't want whoever is consuming the data to necessarily see everything. I just want to give them access to the pieces that they need. Now, along with this, you'll notice that I'm showing this in the Informer product. I want to show you a feature that really turned me on to this product. I'm getting ready to share the information, and I'm going to click on the Export Results button in the top right-hand corner. There are a number of ways to export data and use data. I would say, with my experience with business intelligence systems in general, is that a lot of times the people who use the data never see the actual business intelligence platforms. They're just consuming the reporting, or they're consuming the product. I'm going to, I'm a big fan of this feature. I'm going to show this information in something called Live Excel. And you'll notice that as I export this very simple query and then open that in Excel, I'm getting a warning for my file type that I can actually query on that information from Excel. So I've already set up the data source, and I have the ability then to refresh that information and to access the information through Excel. That does a number of things for me. One of the things that it does is it does not require a license from Informer for my user to be able to access that data. Another thing is it doesn't require a license with the application to access that data. So, you know, I'm not in the business of avoiding licenses where needed, but you know, we also are not responsible for the revenues of the ERP company. So I think I can ROI this thing just with this feature. Not only am I managing the licenses, but I'm also only showing the information that I need to show. I'm not giving them a console that, or a terminal or a program that they have to learn and be trained on. It's just an Excel spreadsheet that that I can train them to query for the data or refresh the data as needed. Now, as I look at that, one of the concerns I would have would be security. I don't want to just put things out in the wild for people to be able to query my information. And so what I find is that there's pretty good security around this and very good reporting. Here's the link in Informer to the live Excel that I just sent out. And I can see it was just Excel access 123. That's my time. I'm going to go ahead and disable that. And when I do, notice I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to look for a product number. I'm going to type that in, and you'll notice that I'm no longer able to query that data. I've just turned off the switch. Go back there to the switch, and now I'm going to enable it. And now I'm able to query that. And that's true if I can export that off of my network. So that's happening on my machine right now, but that can occur anywhere. Now, importantly, if you do that, one of the features that gives me the confidence to be able to do that is Informa has the ability to report on itself. So I have the ability to query against Informa to tell me, what's going on and how these things are used, and if I need to turn something on or off, or I want to completely remove this so it's no longer available at all. I've just done that. So one of the ways that Informa gives me the ability to access data is through live Excels, which again, I'm a big fan of that feature. Another thing I find commonly is that we'll deal with a number of vendors who need reports on a monthly basis or a periodic basis. We partner with various vendors, and we need to supply back particular sales information. They want to know where their product is going for all kinds of purposes, and everyone has different requirements. One of the things I very commonly do with this product is set up periodic sales reports, which report item-level sales history back to vendors and to groups of non-contiguous customer numbers, of groups of customers that are spread out amongst various warehouses. They're not related in any way numerically within or organized in the ERP anyway, but I just need to report on these groups. And same thing with vendors. And so what I'm displaying now is a vendor sales report that reports on a monthly basis just all the sales from that vendor, and this is in real time. This is going against the the ERP is SX, right? So this is reporting against OEEL, the line item sales. And so here's an invoice date, the customer, the order number, part number, the quantity, and different vendors will have different requirements, or different groups of customers will have different requirements for the information that's displayed. So this will very often look very different for each one of those. But this is able to be distributed automatically without any effort on our part. And I'm just going to just go through the place that we would do that. If I have this report that's set up in this way, and it's just going to run at the end of the month for the previous month's information, I can create a schedule then that runs however I need it run, weekly, monthly. I can do custom cron statements and run on weekdays or however I need to do that. So I'm going to, for example, run this monthly on the last day of the month or the first day of the month. Actually, probably this runs information for the previous month, so I'll run this on the first day of every month. And it's going to begin now, and I'm not going to end this. And over here in the email section, I can determine what the report format is. So I'm going to send this. Most of the vendors I send this information to or customers want a .csv file, but many of them will want a PDF or other format, and I can just determine what addresses I want to send that to, and whatever text accompanies that, along with keywords to show information about the report. So that I do all the time. I will show you the email options, email attachments when one or more records, whenever X number of records or more are selected. By the way, this is a way to do the kind of near-time alerting feature whenever I need to schedule something that runs only when something occurs. I'm going to skip down to the next piece. Another thing we did, again, at looking back to the reasons why we got involved with Informer, when we were looking at this product and first saw it at TUG Connection in the spring, or last spring, I guess. We knew we were going to do this Infor proof of delivery thing, for example, and that's a new Infor product. We were the beta on that, and as we went through the beta process, a lot of the stuff wasn't written, so we needed to write some dashboards for that, be able to use the product, see what was going on with it as the thing went on. Now, in this case, I'm only going to show a little bit of a few records, but you can see this is test data, but this is actually the delivery latitude and longitude are actually information that was captured from an iPhone device using the Informer proof of delivery product. And here's the signature image that was captured. And I'll say I can also captured and display on here the images that were actually taken with the iPhone device as part of the proof of delivery. Now, as it turns out, now that is part of the product, so I no longer need that. But I still am able to create proof of delivery dashboards for managers to use who are not touching the product. Again, I don't need a license for that. They're not actively working the product. They just need to see the status on stuff. And so there's another place where Informer brings value in being able to kind of make efficient use of the licenses and really give me another place where I get value from Informer. I'll step back from those, and I'm going to show you the line item sales here in a moment. So I've taken this, most of what we see has been really simple, but I'll tell you, if you look at the left-hand side of the page, you'll see that I've got a number of reports that have been created. At this point, I see 138 reports from a number of different data sources. I've got one kind of one Informer database or report that's showing me stuff that's running, keeping track of my live Excel, so I know what's going on with that. And I've got 128 reports that are running from SX and TWL, and 7 from proof of delivery, and 12 from storefront. 5 of them from my CRM, which is TDF, and then also connected up to the test ERP environment. And that's a lot of stuff. One of the things that helps in managing that is the fact that I've got the ability to tag and manage queries, manage reports via tag. So all the items that we're seeing here are tagged as demo. And I just wanted to point that out because very quickly after getting the product, what we found is it's not necessarily the big reports that are important, but the little stuff, the bread and butter, and just able to go and, I've got to need this customer needs something on a regular basis, and I'm just able to create it, or this vendor, or I need to be able to compare information within the storefront e-commerce application with the SX customer information, with the CRM, and I'm not going to show you an example of that, but I can join tables from different databases and from a SQL database and Progress database and compare the information between those. So a lot of it's, I call bread and butter stuff. I do want to show you though, just so you can see it, the piece has probably been the biggest amount of time to try to create, which is the item level sales from the invoice line items, or OEEL is where this is primarily coming from. It comes from other sources as well. By the way, I'll be glad to share this with anybody. I can, we can export the report profile so that the work's already done here. But as I click into this, I'm going to click in the report, and I'm going through quickly. This takes a little bit more work to go in and collect the item level sales, to calculate the net sales, to deal with the unit of measure issues, to calculate the rebates, to make sure the units of measure are correct, and to I'm scrolling through here. If you're used to the SX database, you'll probably recognize these. These are all things I had to kind of learn. But this report, though, and I built in, another piece of this is we have 3 different fiscal years that we're working on, and so calculate the fiscal year in here as well. And I'm just going to go and run this report. This is pretty big stuff because, again, it's going from, I'll just run for a day. This will take about a minute to load, probably. But this is going to all over the place to get information. It's going to the order line items. It's going to the order header. It's going over to the, I can't remember all the tables that are in here where I have the divisions indicated. But but this information then feeds over into dashboards. That's pretty. This is pretty quick. We'll let it finish here. It's just about done. Okay. And so what I have here is just a report that's organized by sales rep, by warehouse, and by product division, and then I'll drill down into the line items for each of those groups. Okay, I'm going to step out of this for a bit because one of the primary things I do with these reports, then, in addition to actually producing information that's on a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper or whatever, is to send this information over to for dashboarding purposes. I've got a couple that I'll show you. And these numbers are kind of analogous to numbers. In this case, I've got a pie chart that shows a particular division and all the warehouses in a particular division, showing the real-time information of what's in order entry right now, what's in pick stage. That's what these actually are the picked orders by warehouse. Now, that in particular I don't care about. But there are a number of things like that that I want to report out of in real time from the open order file. And I'm going to click a gear on the left, and you'll notice that there are currently 481 rows of data. I think I've got this, well, do I have it set where I can set up refresh now? Let me see. I'm going to refresh. And this is doing a real-time refresh of the data. We'll see how many rows. Now I have 512 rows. So it's very dynamic and gives me the ability to dynamically get into the information. Now, along with this, again, there's no particular application for what I'm showing you here, but it's analogous to a lot of stuff that we've got in production. I'm going to go ahead and click that gear to hide that control panel on the left. Along with this chart, I have the ability, and this is also something I can control at the administrator level. I have the ability to allow users to either click into a segment, see the data that supports that or not, and I also have the ability to allow them to export the data or not. So that's kind of a big deal. Another piece is kind of a big deal, really kind of a pretty big deal, is I have the ability to embed this link. I can embed this dashboard. I spoke earlier about being able to see information from databases without, in ways other than with the terminal. Well, this is a place where I can share information also by embedding this dashboard. I can send this as a link with various permissions for users to use either to refresh and whether or not they can drill down on the data and whether or not they can download the data or export the data rather. And I'll tell you that right now I'm using this. I haven't shown you any examples from the CRM, but right now we use this to send information over to a website for vendors and salespeople to have dashboard information that's on a secure website that's provided by Informer. So there's a lot of value just in the way that I'm sharing the information. I think I've got one more dashboard I'll show you, and then I will I'll stop for a moment. And then, all the time we want to do comparatives of, this vendor versus other vendors and different periods. This is just an analogy for comparing sales from one vendor to another. And I've just got a different formatting example where I'm showing one as a line chart and another is bar chart, and noticing that I can see the data points as I hover over each one of those. And then from an administrator standpoint, I have the ability to drill down, to allow a drill down or not allow a drill down into the data. So I've flashed through that pretty quickly. I've flashed through a lot of stuff. I'm not really a demo guy. I really wanted to give you a flavor of how it's actually using the information, and I would then take this time to turn back over to Tim to see what questions we might want to address and what we might be able to show you.
All right, thank you, Jesse. So you did a great job there, Jesse. I'll have to say right off now while I'm thinking about it, that was an awesome job, and in a lot of ways better than just a typical product demo, because it's real and meaningful data that you're showing there. So that's great stuff that you were showing. So if anyone has any questions, we'll be happy to take those now. I can be glad to field any that we have about the product in general, or if you have any questions for Jesse specifically, we'd be more than happy to take those, as well as if you have questions that you'd like to ask of our team here. We also provide a free, fully functional demo of Informer, or we also have questions if you have that you want to follow up with later. There's a contact information for our Director of Informer Solutions, Tad Buck. He would be more than happy to take those later. But We do have one quick question here, Jesse. Someone was asking, could you please show a quick view of the mappings and what's kind of, just real quickly, what's involved in that? I'll switch it back over to you so you can show that.
Very good. Okay.
And make sure you share your screen there.
All right. Tell me when you can see me.
All right, I can see you now.
Okay. Up in the top right-hand corner, you'll notice 4 tabs: Reports, Mapping, Security, and Admin. I'm going to click on the Mappings tab. And you can see the data sources I have currently mapped. I've got the Informer data source, OpenEdge, Proof of Delivery, Storefront. I'm going to show you one of these, but to add a data source, I'm going to click up in the top right-hand corner, and you'll see that I can select the data source type and then fill out the relevant information. Now, I'm going to show you SX to see what it looks like. It looks exactly like that. I got the I'm going to click over here on the overview button on the left-hand side, and then the edit button on the top left-hand to show the information. I'm using the third-party ODBC driver that I got from Infor, and these are the settings. Whenever the product was installed, by the way, the installation was really quick. I mean, we literally were using the product within a couple of days of installing it. But the service person that helped me set this up helped me with the various settings here, and it's pretty straightforward. But that's mapping the data source. Now, mapping the individual tables, again, was fairly straightforward. I mean, I asked various questions, various people, but when I add a table, once I have the data source set up, I'll add various tables. For example, ICSP. I'll just look at that. I just clicked on ICSP, and which is the warehouse product. I'm still getting used to the terminology. But whenever I first identified in the table and click the Add button to add the table, then I want to go and add the various properties or add the various columns, and one can either click the Add button and add individual columns, or one can choose the Add All button and just add all the tables, all the properties in a table. And then importantly, one will create the links then as well, which is, again, fairly straightforward. I'm not really a technical guy, and I did most of this myself. I'm going to edit this, and you'll notice then, basically, all the inventory stuff, I'll link the company number to the company number and the product number to the product number, and similarly, with the various tables as needed. So, and basically, I just typically will link tables as I go. And again, this is something that I'm glad to export and share. I mean, it's people that use SX know this database a lot better than me, but that's basically what it looks like to create the joins between the table.
I'm glad you mentioned the packaging, Jesse. Yeah, that answered the question, I think, that perfectly. And I'm glad you mentioned the packaging component, because that someone else was asking about the implementation process. And so normally you would go through this process of setting all of this metadata up about the database. But as Jesse said, there he's willing to share what he's done here. So he's done a lot of that legwork already for the SX database schema. So it would just be a matter of importing that package of his into your local Informer and making any modifications for any additional tables or columns that you may need, etc. And then it would be a matter of just starting to build reports. So it doesn't really take a lot of effort to get it set up once you get the connection set up there for the database.
Yeah, that was my experience, Tim.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, that really was. It was. I was very concerned about that because, coming from, in my background, I'd worked with business intelligence tools before, but they were already set up. I mean, they were ERP specific, and it was already done. That was probably my number one concern, was getting that done and not getting billed an Arm & Electric professional services to do it. And it was really pretty straightforward to get done.
Awesome. So another question, is the data pulled real time? Yes, well, it's pulled real time as of whatever the up-to-the-minute data is in the database. So, if you're connected to your transactional database, it's going to pull the data as it is at that point when it runs the query. So it's as close to real time as possible, whatever the data is at the time the query runs. So yes, it can be pulled in real time.
One has the ability to create archives. I've started to do that a little bit, but everything that I run, I won't really run against a transactional database. So, for example, when I click this data tab, that is what is in Storefront at this moment. That went out to Storefront, grab the information. That's real time.
Excellent. Okay. There was a question about security, about how it's applied in every table. Really, there's Informer, as I mentioned in the early part of the presentation, does have a very robust security model. So you can control who has access to what databases. So, for example, if Jesse wanted to limit access to that Storefront database, he could set the security up there so that only a certain user or set of users can control that or can view that data and see that data. And he could even control who sees what data within a particular table. So there may be some within a particular table that needs to be secured.
I just navigated to this particular guy, spoke over you, but that was a big concern also because this particular guy is a buyer, really sharp, but we've got a lot of businesses associated with this, and we don't want to get into general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable information. We just really need access to information from only certain data sources and only certain tables, and so we're granular to that level, and the permissions are very granular in what one can make modifications to. I really found it helpful to be able to impersonate the user as I was learning about the security, so that I can impersonate the user and be able to see how the product works for them before I ever let them have hands on it.
Excellent. And too, I think the question went on to ask about specific branches of data within the company or whatever. So if you're getting to like row level security, we can help you. Entrinsik can help you with providing a plugin that, based on the user running the report, it can limit the data they see. So if you have a particular branch or division or whatever that you're wanting to limit a user to, that can be programmatically added to the query at the time it's ran without the user even knowing it's going on. So that's something that we can help you with there as well. So subsequent, or a follow-up question then was for the real-time data, pulling data in real time, what the impact is if a report is designed without using indexes and tables. Well, obviously, the query, when we generate the back-end query that gets sent off to the database, we're using just native query language statements. So like if it's a SQL database, we're going to generate native SQL statements that then get executed on the database. So whatever indexing is in place on the database will automatically get used. We also, and I'm not sure if, I believe in this version that you have here, Jesse, we've had a subsequent update, I think, to the product since this particular version you're running here, but I believe in this one too, when you're viewing the properties of the columns from the tables, we have little icons that will identify whether a field is a primary key or an indexed field, as if we're able to determine that from a call to the database when you add it to the mapping information.
Yeah, that's true on this version.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so you can quickly see, make sure when you're doing a report, it will help you identify, oh, this is an index field, and that's so I should probably use it over a different one or a similar column that may not be indexed in your criteria. Does this application have the ability to create calculations, for example, year-over-year sales growth percentage? We've done some reports like that. We do have an outstanding feature request for doing like percent of total type things. We're always expanding this product and taking feedback from users about this product. So there's a few things that we are wanting to add to it and are working on adding a lot of new features to this version, as well as a new version that will be coming out later this year that's going to be even more powerful than this one. We do have the ability to do some calculations. Jesse actually showed you some of those in that big report definition he did, where he was calculating like fiscal year, determining fiscal year, and doing that kind of thing. So there are ways that we can do those types of calculations and can work with you to help you build that in our services department. So, all right, that brings us to the end of our list of questions here. If anyone else has any other questions, let me put the slide back up so you can see the contact information again. Make sure I got the wrong one there. There we go. Feel free to reach out to us, or if you're interested in seeing a demo of the product, we'll be happy to talk about that as well. If you want a one-on-one demo, contact Tad Buck there at that email address, or give him a call at the number listed there on the screen, and we'll be happy to follow up with you and answer any questions you may have. Feel free to visit our website, check out the product there as well, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon from the client services area. So with that, I think that will end it up. Gary, I'll pitch it back over to you for any closing statements from your side, but I want to thank everyone for attending today, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Jesse. A great job on the webinar. I don't have any closing comments other than say have a great day. And don't forget to check out the webinar if you want to have it forwarded to anybody else. If you go to the TUG site and click on the YouTube link, it'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Thank you all. Have a great day.